This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays, live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. You sign up today, you bet $100, you get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/YNNBET. State restrictions do apply. All right, DJs, welcome back for a quick recap of the Honda and that Arnold Palmer preview. It's your boy, Boston Capper, with the God of Golf himself, Steve Shermer. Steve, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing all right. It's a weekend missed opportunities. I did something really stupid before the tournament. I'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah, look, it was the Honda. It was pretty unpredictable as far as the leaderboard, as far as guys kind of bombing out at the wrong time for me. Could have been a very good week. Ended up being a down week though. So we're going to try to get back on our winning ways to Bay Hill. But Chris Kirk wins the Honda Classic. And I've been banging the drum for this guy for seems like 2 years, and I should have been on him, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's that.
He tried to give it away.
Yeah, a lot of guys tried to give it away. This tournament.
I mean, he gave it away on 18, and then he was behind a tree in the first playoff hole, hit a nice fucking outshot, and then he stuck it. That last shot, he stuck it. I think it was like within 3 feet. And you knew it was over because homeboy, what's his name? Cole gave himself a shot.
Eric Cole.
Gave himself a shot at birdie. 34-year-old fucking PGA Tour rookie. I'd like to know more about that backstory.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Full Swing can do a backstory on him next time. Second place finish though, that's probably good enough to keep your card because you get finishing second this week is the same amount of points as finishing second at the Waste Management. I'm sure Nick Taylor is really happy about that.
Oh yeah, makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. So why I'm a little annoyed, although I'm going to try and put a positive spin on it. So before the tournament, I was banging the drum about what types of guys have been winning these crap field. If you're not a premium player, and it usually was this grizzled veteran who had won before, might have not won for a while, and Chris Kirk fit the bill. And I actually had a bet on Chris Kirk, but then I saw he was really chalk on DFS, and I saw that a couple mainstream outlets were picking him to win, and I'm like, well, it's not that I believe that he's cursed at that point. It's more like I got to reevaluate my thinking on this. And so then I swerved because all right, because I'm sharp, and I went with Billy Horschel, who had no form, and he showed. I mean, I felt really good after the first round, and then he sucked the rest of the way. Yeah. So I'm a little annoyed that I was on the case with Chris Kirk, didn't go through with it. I had a couple of top 40s not go my way today. Thank you, Christian Bezain-Hoot. Thank you, Adam Svensson. Otherwise, it would have been a profitable week if I just had those two land in the top 40. Whatever. It is what it is. But, listen, I love the backstory from Chris Kirk. Battling back, being alcoholic, fighting his way back. I remember a couple of years ago, he needed to finish, I think, third at Sony to keep his card. Yeah. Because he was on the temporary conditional status, and he got it. And he's had a lot of great finishes since then. A lot of near misses at a lot of big time events, especially around this Florida swing. Finally gets it done. So props to him. Yeah.
He's good at API.
He is good at API. Oh, do you think he's going to go back to back now?
Fuck no. I'm just curious what it does to his price.
Oh, I mean, it's going to go through the roof.
Yeah, no. That's why I just want is Kirk, since he just won, and he's got a couple top 5s, top 10s the last couple times.
He's got 2 third place finishes and a win now in 3 of his last 4. Sorry, he's listen, it's John Rahm and Chris Kirk as far as the hottest players in the world right now.
It's fucking insane. I'm just curious, because he normally if he didn't just win, Kirk would have been 60 to 80 in this field, and then since he just won, is he going to be in the 40s with?
No, I still think
it's just weird to think about.
I still think he's going to be 60 to 1. Yeah, you got 44 of the top 50 players in the world this week, stacked field.
Can't wait to lose money on outrights again this week. I'm so excited.
Dude, no negativity. You're close. All right, you're close. Plus, you've been shadow betting and hitting on some stuff, so you know what? You're doing okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
The tout cash is a little dry for you, but you're
tout cash is a little dry, but shadow betting's out.
Exactly. So, what was I going to say? Another week though, where it seemed like TIO rules bailed out the winner. Chris Kirk yesterday. In a horrible spot on 18, kind of like what we talked about before the tournament. You guys were going to clank it off the hospitality tents right behind the green because they knew his backboard, and then he was able to move it basically 20 yards to the right.
No, it was 30.
All right, 30 yards. Gets up and down for birdie, and he was in a playoff today. And without it, maybe he doesn't get in there. It's Eric Cole, actually, who it was, by the way. So I didn't watch anything after they teed off on 1. And then Kirk put in a palmetto bush. But the first hole for Eric Cole went very poorly for him. And I thought he was probably, now he ended up saving, I think he ended up getting par anyways, but a nervy tee shot, not a great approach shot. I'm like, all right, this guy's dead. So then I had to go into like a little party today. Came back and I was surprised he made the playoffs. So good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he looked good, man. So I didn't watch everything, right? I just threw it on. It was kind of like aquarium, and I was checking it on as I did start watching when I got a little tighter down the stretch. But dude was making every fucking putt. I mean, I'll have to look, but I guarantee he made like 150 feet of putts today.
Yeah, probably. I'll have to take a look at his stats. Maybe his strokes and putting stuff is outrageous. But listen. I mean,
he almost hold out the playoff one. He just hit a little too firm, and it lipped out.
Yeah, there you go. So I think this is probably something to keep in mind. Again, another short odds guy wins, even if this is a crappy field. There has been a trend and a theme of these types of guys when winning. If it's not a premium player, it's one of his profiles. I think you should just adopt that going forward. If you miss out on the flavors of the weeks, like there were a lot of this week, a lot of them were close.
No.
So
fuck you very much, Dietrich.
I think Dietrich was I wish I never found that stupid golf course in Germany. That was embarrassing. A bet on EVR was also embarrassing too.
I wasn't on board with that.
Yeah, you know what? I could have removed EVR and Will and just said, you know what? Give me Kirk and Horschel. Why just go with both of them? No.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Why be smart?
I know exactly. Yeah.
Why? Why make it any more difficult than the fucking sport already is?
Because there still is some ego to filling out these betting cards and having this stuff put out there. And I mean, it would have been kind of like, all right, this is a Honda Classic, you're putting 2 guys under 30 on your card, like what are you doing?
Yeah. If I didn't publicly release my betting card, I would probably bet more like a coward. And
probably
I
mean, the cowardly way of betting golf has been heading lately. So listen, I don't think it's really going to change anytime soon. So,
nope.
I actually hand up, admit it, I actually watched more live golf this weekend than actually Honda. Look, it's whatever. It's fine. I don't think it's elite. I don't think it's terrible. It's golf on television.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought Mayakoba played a little better. It does in November. It was a little firmer, a little windier, a little tougher. But yeah, I mean, the broadcast is still horrible, but I didn't really notice.
The broadcast is so bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. But otherwise, it's golf that's on.
Golf. Yeah.
I mean,
it's got some of the guys who I like. So whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me that the Honda Classic is just as important as this tournament. I mean, look at the guys in this field. I think it doesn't help that I'm aware that the FedEx Cup points allocated to the Honda is just the same as the Phoenix Open. That was elevated event. I think that's dumb. I think that basically waters down the entire thing at that point. But whatever. I mean, I think it helps with the fact I'm kind of insulated from a lot of stuff from social media that they put out there. I know there's a lot of BS that comes their way. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really have any strong opinion for the team uniforms they had. I just was like, all right, whatever. They just look like golfers out there. So it didn't really offend me. I'm sorry if it offended a lot of people, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't care. They also apparently in one of the cutaways to commercial, they showed 2 girls making out, and somebody was like, I think it was Kenny. He was like, I wonder how the boss is going to feel about that. I was like, oh yeah, they're not going to like that.
Well, it's a classy organization, so I wouldn't expect anything less than that.
Saudi is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
2 females kissing. It's very, very, very illegal there.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyways, why don't we transition to Bay Hill from that point? So, actually, why don't we take a break first, and then let's get to talking about a real tournament.
Let's do it. Oh, yeah, real quick. How sad that Jack is still up in the booth, by the way.
So he broke some news today, by the way.
Oh, I wasn't listening. What did he say?
Well, I read an article. Apparently, he broke news that the Honda. Now, this is Jack. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But he apparently purported just out of the open that the Honda is actually going to get moved on the schedule, and they're going to be an elevated event.
Good.
The Pebble Beach is going to be an elevated event. Phoenix will not be elevated next year.
Yeah, because that draws us eyeballs and people anyway. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, which is going to be fine. I think that's probably how it should be.
Yeah.
Apparently, I think between Riviera and Honda, Mexico is going to get the slot, which is going to be even worse than the Honda.
God.
Yeah. So that's how the schedule is going to shake out next year. Apparently, Honda's going to get elevated, which fine. You know what? I would like to see some of the better players tackle this punishing golf course.
Yeah,
I think,
and I just thought it was like because they were shilling hard for fucking Honda, like, oh, they're like a longest sponsor. We love Honda, like all the broadcasters. I was like, they're fucking leaving because you guys fucked them over. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like,
I bet Workday is probably going to sponsor them next year. They've done I think Workday sponsored the concession. You know, that's Jack Nicklaus ties. They sponsored when Murfield had back-to-back tournaments during the COVID year. That was kind of cool. Workday sponsored that. I'm going to guess it's probably the Workday Classic next year, and it'll elevate its status. And you know what? I think it'll be fun.
Well, they don't pay Phil for those terrible commercials anymore. So
no, they don't. They pay Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's sponsored by Workday, though. I know you don't like him. I know. I
actually kind of like him this week, but whatever. All right. So, all right. Well, listen, WinBet is the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WinBet is active in a bunch of states, and there's tons of ways to win, including live betting and same game parlays, AK WinBets. Build your own bet. March Madness is almost here. Plus, plenty of ways to getting down on the NBA, NHL, and XFL. You sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $100, you get $100. It's limited to state availability. And of course, for our DGens only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from, and all you got to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. So they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET. Offer is subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you somebody know has a game promo, call 1-800-522-4700. And the merch store. We adding new stuff every week. The Rest for Terror shirts is probably my favorite, other than our own branded stuff. I imagine that's a good conversation starter. So head over to the store at sportsgamblingpodcast.com to get your favorite swag.
Okay. How's my stream, by the way? I saw a little icon that I was going in and out there.
No, you were fine. Yeah, you were fine.
Okay. All right, we're good now. All right, Bay Hill. So look, guys, I'm going to be I'm pretty exhausted. I had a long weekend. I am also at the point where I can't go out socializing past 11:30 and not feel terrible the next day. Wasn't even hungover. I was just tired.
Yeah, dude.
So this is good. So I'm going to go through everything. We're going to kind of breeze through it. I have my article. If I kind of gloss over something, my apologies. But I'm going to give you the main points about Bay Hill tonight. What I like about the golf course, what I don't like about it. I'll get Capper's opinion as well. We'll go from there. So Bay Hill. So this was originally a orange, basically an orange farm.
Grove.
And it was a terrible orange farm. It didn't produce any fruit. So this guy named Dick Wilson basically bought the place, turned it into a golf course. He actually planted it with this strange grass called Tifway Bermuda. It was the first golf course, I think, in Florida with this particular strain in Bermuda. But then Arnold Palmer started coming to this place. In 1965, he fell in love with it. In 1970, he started leasing it. And then in 1975, he purchased the place outright. And then he negotiated with the PGA Tour. And they have had the Arnold Palmer Invitational at the Bay Hill Club and Lodge ever since 1979. So it's undergone a couple changes through the years. The biggest renovation that happened recently was 2009. It's a long time ago, but it was 2009. That was when they had, I think, a lot of bunker work. They might have rerouted a couple of holes too. But the goal of the renovation was to basically make it a little more playable for people like us, people like Capper, which it's a Florida golf course. It's difficult. There's a lot of water, so anything that you can kind of do to kind of make it a little more playable, maybe a little easier for, higher handicaps guy to get around, maybe some abilities to maybe, putt around the green instead of trying to chip, from off it, stuff like that. Did he do a good job? Not really. Despite his best efforts, Bay Hill still kind of plays really tough. There is really not many safe places for an amateur to bail out. Everything's right out in front of you, but it's a really difficult driving golf course. I'll get to a lot of the reasons why in a little bit. And like a lot of Florida golf courses, there's a lot of water hazards, eager to gobble up some errant drives. The wind can be a really big factor too. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Wind was not a factor at PGA National. That kind of took away from a little bit of the carnage. I think this is going to be a shit show at Bay Hill next week.
Which is weird. Which is weird to me. So it's Orlando. It's in the middle. Like there's no ocean. Like you know what I mean. So I don't understand why it gets so much fucking wind.
Why? I think a cold front's going to come through.
But it happens all the time. So
yeah.
it's strange to me that it's in the middle of the goddamn state. Like you go there in the summertime, it's stagnant and fucking humid as hell. You know what I mean? So like I would pray for wind when dragging my kids to fucking Disney World, and there'd be not a hint of a breeze.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, listen, you live down there, but you're right. I mean, the last couple, so like there were a couple tournaments, I think back in like the mid 2010s, like 2015 or 2014, where like winning score was close to 20 under. At the last 4 or 5 years, you're right. It's gotten firm. It's gotten windy, like, single digit winning scores. Like I think Hatton won it like 3 under one year or 4 under. That was good. I cashed that one that day. That was nice. But anyways, this is a very tough golf course. The wind plays a big factor. It really dries out the golf course. It also doesn't help too so the prevailing wind is from the north, and this golf course basically runs north and south for most of the holes. Now, for a pro, give them a little bit of a tailwind, that's actually fine for them, or a headwind, that's fine. But like for an amateur, if you got a significant headwind, that's a disaster because you can't really carry any bunkers, or water comes more into play, or it pushes your ball maybe towards the rough a bit. But it also, even if you have a downwind shot, you know what guys like you and me are going to do? We're going to airmail the green. You can't do a Bay Hill airmail greens because these things get firm and crispy and quick. You're just going to run the ball. You're not going to get anywhere close to the ball if you're long at this golf course. So, it is. I wouldn't say it's a good stretch of holes from an architecture standpoint, but it's an exciting stretch starting with the 15th hole. So 15, 16, 17, 18, there can be a lot of drama there. We saw it last year with, Hovland and Scheffler kind of go back and forth. And Gary Woodland, I'll talk about poor Gary in a little bit.
That was the bunker, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the bunkers at this place down in the banging strategy section. But so start with hole number 15, which is I've come to this podcast and said there's a lot of bad par fives. I proclaim that this is the worst par 5 on the PGA Tour. I don't really do a list of par 4s. This probably ranks up there with one of the worst par 4s on the PGA Tour. So first of all, the tee box is across the street, and you got to hit over a row of hedges. So that's never any good. The fairway is borderline unfair. So it gets to be literally concrete. So like even you see guys hitting like 3-woods and hybrids straight through, and it's probably about like 270, 280 to the end of the fairway there. Balls just run right through it. And the ryegrass rough overseat here is really thick and really gnarly. They definitely put a lot of fertilizer in this stuff to make it really tough. You can try and cut the corner, but there's out of bounds all the way down the right. And again, you can't really hold the fairway. So really the best strategy here is hit it as far as you can, try and cut the corner, and just gouge out with a wedge and hope you kind of hit it close to the green. But the greens are just so firm and fast. Like guys are complaining last year, they got really out of control on the 15th green. Just a bad design par 4. They got to do something to soften up those fairways or something. But I don't know. I mean, I think this place probably needs a renovation. It's a little tired at this point. Maybe this is one of the holes they can do. Hole number 16, that's a very reachable par 5. It depends on the wind, though. It runs from basically north to south. So if you have a north prevailing wind, it's very reachable in 2. Although if you go over the green, that can be a little tricky trying to get up and down. But if you're in one of the fairway bunkers, you're probably not making the green. You probably got to lay up short of the water and try and get up and down from there. This is probably your last opportunity for a birdie on the rest of your round, because 17 and 18 are absolutely brutal. 17 is 221 yards. It's got that long bunker in front that kind of bleeds into the water. So it's really triggering if you're watching on Shot Tracker, and it's like really close between like the bunker and the water. Because sometimes it'll fool you and it'll say like in the water, but then the guy can get up because it's actually just enough in the bunker, or they'll say it's in the bunker, but it's actually a penalty. And you get really upset when that happens. Let me tell you, I've been on that ass. And then we saw last year guys having a lot of trouble getting up and down from that front bunker. And then number 18, which is just an impossible hole, especially if they have a south wind, like we're going to have one of these days. It's about 320 to the water. So you can't really hit driver if you have a south wind, because the fairways are really firm. It's a really narrow fairway with really thick rough. If you're in the rough on the right, you're basically dead because you'd have to carry over the water hazard, which is probably not going to happen. You're probably going to end up there. You probably your best bet is probably just end up laying up about 40 yards short of the green, try and get up and down from there. Even if you're in the fairway, it's not easy to hold that green, especially if you're in that back bunker. The Sunday pin placement is all the way down, like tucked to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Just a really brutal par 4. But there's a lot of excitement that can go, down these last couple holes. A lot of ways for the tournament to kind of flip on itself. You got a par 5 that can flip things. I think it flipped for Bryson DeChambeau a couple years ago. I think he birdied, and I think Connors and somebody else couldn't birdie.
This is where he went for the green, even though it was like 50 yards to the right. I mean, he still smashed the ball, but
yeah, he did. Well, one of the days, it's gonna be I think a north wind or a south wind from. Although so it's a south wind with like 35 miles per hour. So guys actually might go for the green on. So you know how like that it goes around that lake. There's like number 3, number 6. Guys might actually go for the green on number 3 now because it's only 434 yards. But if you have like a 35 yard or mile per hour wind, you could probably carry it close to that green. So I would say a guy like Cam Young probably will go for it. He could definitely drive the green there. But otherwise, good closing stretch of holes. It's a very tough golf course. I'll get into some of the reasons why it can be really tough, but the wind's going to be up this week. It's going to flip around a bunch of different ways. It's going to be entertaining. Again, if you like to watch NASCAR for the car crashes, you're going to like this week. But am I going to lose? Like, am I going to be in my deathbed in, I don't know, 10 years? Hopefully not 10 years.
Jesus Christ.
If I'm going to be on a deathbed and say like, oh, I really wish I played Bay Hill, probably not. I don't really have a desire to play this place. What about you? Like, so what do you think about this place?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said. I enjoy the carnage of it, and it baffles me about the wind because, like I said, I live down here. Like it's not windy in Orlando, so like to get the wind up like that much, it's crazy. I dig it. I think it'll be fun to see some of the stronger American players here because the Florida swing was always when the Euros were coming and picking events off and used to playing in these type of conditions. So it'll be fun to see Cantlay in Florida. Like I can't wait to see how he plays.
I know, and Xander playing this event too. I think he's played it a couple times. I think, but I don't think he has much success here.
Cantlay ever played it?
No, Cantlay's never played this.
No way.
He fucking hates Florida.
He hates Florida.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I like this. I like this tournament. I like the course. But like you said, I don't want to go fucking play it. Like it looks fucking brutal. I'd shoot fucking 200 on this thing. No, thank you.
Yeah, probably. And then it's obviously a prelude to the Players Championship next week.
Yeah.
So it's another really good strong stretch of golf. Elevated event this week. Players Championship next week. Things are looking good for the PGA Tour. So why don't we take an hour break, and then why don't we go over the betting strategies that I'm looking for this week to try to help you hopefully win some money, which I have not done for you the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, what it is. The golf betting's hard. So listen, we're also brought to you guys by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is your home for the off-season NFL best ball drafts. They get you covered for a ton of other daily games, including the NBA, NHL, and PGA. Underdog Fantasy is a great way to get down on your favorite player props if they're not available in your state. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN.
Okay. All right. And then why don't we talk about Piper golf balls too? So look, I mean, the golf season is fast approaching right now. Up in Rochester, New York, right here, we got an ice storm, but I know that there's some warmer weather on the way, and you're probably, getting up and preparing to get some gear, putting your golf bag, getting ready to go. So, a lot of guys, probably stock up and getting like, all right, I need more golf balls. You go to get your Pro V1s, your TaylorMades, but those are, a higher premium ball. And they're a little bit more expensive. You're going to pay for the premium price. But guys like you and me probably can't max out the benefit of using a Pro V1. We're just not good enough. But, so why do that when you can go with Piper Golf Ball, who makes a ball that's pretty comparable to some of the premium brands for a much lower cost. And Piper Golf also helps you match the right golf ball to your handicap. They actually have a chart on their website that goes over based on your handicap, which line of golf ball you have. For example, they got their green line of golf balls. That's for your 15 plus handicaps. It gives you a little bit extra distance for players with slower swing speeds. You get the blue balls, which is for handicaps between 5 and 15. It's got a good combination of distance and feel for mid handicappers. You got your black line of golf balls. That's for your scratch golfers, 12 handicaps. It's got a smooth, soft feel. It's got a higher spin rate, so the ball lands really soft on the green. It's got some boosted distance gains too. But their premium ball, though, that's their gold ball. This is one for a little better players. I got it right here. This is your 4-piece urethane golf ball. It feels and looks just like a Pro V1. It feels exactly like it, right in my hand right here. It's got a high ball flight, soft feel, but where it really helps you, this is where Piper Golf really excels with all their golf balls, is that the best way for a lot of us to get your scores down is be really good around the green. And these balls have a lot of extra spin around the green to help you keep the ball close. You can go to the driving range, you can hit your driver a lot, hit your irons a lot, but the best way to get your handicaps immediately lower is by improving around the green game. So go to piper.golf/GGP and you'll get 10% off on your first order using promo code GGP. You can opt to subscribe and receive scheduled shipments of golf balls at a 15% discount, and you get free shipping on any orders over $50. So go to piper.golf/GGP and improve your game today. And then lastly, we want to thank everybody for watching us on YouTube. So make sure to smash and subscribe, the subscribe button, and like this video on YouTube, and consume all our content on there every single week.
Yeah, definitely. So Mush checking in. Mush sweat that Kirk ticket. He cashed the Kirk ticket this weekend.
All right. Well, congratulations. There we go. Good job. Good job, Cousin Mush there. So, all right. Batting strategy. Let's go over some general stats and facts. And, so my article just came out tonight. Capper, stop me if you have any questions. I know you always do.
Yep.
Would be happy to answer for you. So, Bay Hill, let's go over some relative stats and statistics about it. So it's a par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, 7,466 yards. The greens average about 7,500 square feet in area, which is a little bigger than PGA Tour standards. And by the way, they need to be big with how firm these things are.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the green regulation rate. It's really low at this place. They run about 12 on the stick meter to start the tournament, but we're going to see a lot of wind this week. And actually, I'll get to that right now.
Okay.
So the wind conditions this week. So Thursday looks okay. It's from the south. That's usually the opposite direction of the prevailing winds. 9 to 15 miles per hour, enough to kind of give some guys a little bit of a bother. Not too terrible. Friday looks to be a disaster. Gusts to 35 miles per hour pretty much all day. Starts at about 14 in the morning, going about 25 at 1 o'clock. So watch your wave splits. It's gonna be hot too. It's gonna be 90 degrees. That day.
It's already hot down here. Like it was.
Yeah.
I walked outside today and I was like, "Fuck, it's coming."
Yep.
God damn it.
Well, what's interesting though is that the first 2 days, everyone's going to play with a south wind. On Saturday, the winds are going to come from the west. So then it's going to be a crosswind for almost all the turn. That's going to be a shit show. Like, especially like trying to control the ball flight. Like once it hits the ground too, like the furrows are so firm.
Yep.
It's going to be really, really difficult. Like these guys, they can handle a tailwind or wind in their face. These guys lose their shit if there's a crosswind, and we're going to get probably like a 15 to 25 mile per hour crosswind from the west between 1 and 5 o'clock on Saturday. This leaderboard might completely shake up.
Yeah, and we got to listen. It's fucking Sunday night at 9 o'clock Eastern, right? So like weather can change, right? Pay attention to the weather. Like listen, Florida weathermen have the easiest job in the world, right? Hot, fucking muggy, like that's it. Like, and so let's wait till we get a little closer. And but yeah, dude, if that stays on track, right, baby. Like, no work is getting done at my job on Friday afternoon. I will be glued to the fucking ESPN.
Well, that's Friday. Saturday's got the crosswind, and then Sunday the wind now flips around to the north. So you're going to go from starting the tournament from south winds. It's going to be north winds to end. This is going to be a completely different golf course, basically, by the time this thing ends. Like, it's difficult. That's difficult to handicap. It's like, all right, how do humans do in Mother Nature at that point?
Exactly.
You can say you have a lean on it. At the end of the day, there's a lot of luck in golf. I think with this weather forecast that this holds, there's going to be a lot of luck involved. So be patient. Try not to get you triggered if stuff doesn't go your way. Try and have fun with it. And it is what it is, with this stuff, especially with a golf course where the ball is going to hit the ground and who knows where it's going to go at that point.
Yep.
We saw last year, and I'll get to it. There was a lot of really unlucky things that happened down the stretch for a lot of guys coming down because this golf course can be, especially when it gets windy and firm, it's really unfair. So, all right, so let's get back to the betting strategies here. So let's go over some agronomy. So naturally, the golf course is tee to green Bermuda. And then the fairways and rough, though, they're going to be overseed with rye overseed. So, and it's really thick. They put down a lot of fertilizer at Bay Hill. I think they take pride in having really thick rough. Off the fairways there. It's about 3 inches deep. Now, last year, they actually didn't overseed the fairways. It was actually naturally Bermuda. They're going to overseed it this year, though. So it's back to what it was. When Bermuda ball kind of lays a little bit, just slightly down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
On a rye overseed, it's up a little bit. Some guys prefer to hit on a rye overseeded fairway, versus Bermuda. Sometimes vice versa. Honestly, you probably have to ask every single guy if they prefer that, but it's just something to know. The greens, though, I mentioned that they're going to start at 12 on the centimeter, but with this weather forecast, if we don't get any rain, if it's really windy, these things are going to be lightning quick by the end of the tournament. Like, it's going to be really difficult to putt on. We'll talk about putting stats in a little bit. But they're Tiff Eagle Bermuda. That's a more cold tolerant strain in Bermuda. That's why the greens can stay Bermuda while everywhere else is rye overseed. There's 4 other golf courses on the PGA Tour with Tiff Eagle Bermuda. That is Albany Golf Course, Plantation Course at Kapalua, Sea Island, and PJ National, like we just saw this week. So if you want to get really, really specific with the Tiff Eagle Bermuda, listen, it worked out with Chris Kirk. He's won at Sea Island, and he's done really well at Bay Hill and ends up winning the Honda Classic. So if you end up going that route of just looking at Tiff Eagle specialists, Chris Kirk would have led you there. But overall, though, if you just look at guys who are pretty good Bermuda, that's fine for you. Let's talk about the par threes. They're the longest of all the non-major golf courses in the PGA Tour as far as length. They average 210 yards in length, and there's only one par three that actually is less than 200 yards, and it's like 199 yards. So for all intents and purposes, all these par threes are 200 plus yards long, and if these greens are really firm, and you're heading like a 6 iron or 5 iron into them, it's going to be really difficult to hold. That's why these par threes are they are the third toughest on the PGA Tour schedule of all venues with at least 5 tournaments. Only Augusta Nationals par threes and PGA Nationals par threes, which because they have a lot of water, play tougher.
Crazy.
So these things are nuts. The par fours are also really tough too. They're not overly long. They only average collectively about 440 yards in length. There's only I think 5 of them are over 450 yards, but only one of them plays over 475. So it's not like Torrey Pines where like all of them are like 480 plus.
Right.
These have some variety. Like there's some that are like 370. There's some that are like 440. But what makes them tough though is that where the hazards are, where there's some bottlenecking, it can discourage hitting a driver at it. Some guys have to basically plot around, hit less than driver. And there's a lot of water, a lot of dog legs. And like I said before, it can be really difficult to hold these par 4 or these fairways. They're really tough. Bay Hill features the third toughest par 4s on the PGA Tour of all venues with at least 5 tournaments since 2015. Only the par 4s of the Augusta National and Torrey Pines play tougher. So, you talk about a lot of guys who've done really well here. They've had a lot of success at Augusta National and Torrey Pines. That's probably the reason why, is because really tough par 4s at Augusta National and Torrey Pines, really tough par 4s here at Bay Hill. Where you can take advantage of this golf course if the wind cooperates is with the par 5s. You have to score on these. There are not many scoreable par 4s or par 3s on this golf course, so you have to get birdies on these par 5s, and they're really doable. As long as the wind is cooperating and you're in the fairway, they're definitely reachable in 2. They rank in about middle of the pack as far as scoring average on the PGA Tour. Mostly because, if you do miss a green, it is difficult to get up and down from it. But, overall, though, it's where you got to take advantage of Bay Hill. So let's talk about why Bay Hill is so tough. I mean, obviously, I went through like the par 3s and par 4s are difficult. Off the tee is very, very difficult at Bay Hill. It's a very demanding golf course off the tee. It's the 8th most difficult golf course off the tee of all tournaments with at least 5 tournaments since 2015. So Why are they difficult? I just talked about with the par fours, with the positioning of the water hazards, with the fairway bunkers, the bottlenecking there. Oftentimes, you got to club down. The average driving distance of all drives at Bay Hill is only 280 yards. That is the eighth shortest. Yeah, a lot of guys got to actually club down. And I think a lot of it is, too, that like if a ball ends up off the fairway, it's just going to stop in the rough.
Stop. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. The driving accuracy rates is only about 62.2%. And the last couple of years, it's been like, I think sub 60.
Oh my God.
So that's really low rates for the PGA Tour. Like these fairways, when they get firm and bouncy, like you're just having trouble holding them. But there are a couple like shorter par fours, but where the bunkers are and like where the trees are, like you have to lay back. So a lot of times you're basically playing positional golf. Everything's right in front of you. Don't make a mistake and do that. It also features a lot of penalty strokes. So it has the 8th highest penalty stroke per round at Bay Hill. And it also has another thing too. It actually has the highest rate of reloads, basically a stroke and distance penalty. So off the tee, which adds to the difficulty of Bay Hill, is that if you hit it in a water hazard at this golf course, you're re-teeing. Most likely. Yeah. You're not dropping, next to it and hitting your third. So very off the tee this week, and we'll get to the relative skill set chart. Extremely important this week. And you look at guys who have done well here, like guys who either hit a lot of fairways or just mash it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys who are efficient off the tee are going to do really well this week. So
Morikawa hasn't played here, has he?
I think he has, and I think he. I don't think it went very well for him on the greens and around the green that week. So I still worry about him with wind too. Like there's been instances where like I say that and then he ends up doing okay. And then I'm like, all right, well, maybe he's okay. And then he sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I never get him right.
Yeah. It was windy in Boston for the Open, right? He played well then.
No. So it was windy on Saturday. And he ended up hitting his worst
round of the day. Yeah,
and then Thursday, Friday, it was relatively calm. I think Sunday, all the wind cleared out by the time he teed off.
Yeah.
And then he was fine.
And there was no wind at the British Open.
No, it was pretty soft and benign. So it might be a thing. Although there are a couple instances where I think there has been wind and he's done well. I can't think about the top of my head. So.
Well, yeah, we'll dig into that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or the next night, whatever day we're on. I don't know.
All right. Let's talk about the approach shots. They're also difficult at Bay Hill. Of all golf courses on the PGA released 5 tournaments since 2015, only TPC Sawgrass and Augusta National feature tougher approach shots from less than 150 yards. And from over 150, it faces the 6 toughest conditions of all PGA Tour venues. It's due to the greens. They are really hard. They're really firm. The greens are very not receptive. And if you have low driving accuracy rates, you're coming out of that rough, you're not holding the green. The ball's just going to roll right through. And we'll talk about a little bit how hard it is getting up and down. The average green regulation rate of the field since 2015 is only 57.6%. That is only Riviera, Augusta National, and Innisbrook have lower green regulation rates of annual like PGA Tour stops.
My God.
Yeah. And the last couple of years has been like absolute carnage too.
Yeah.
It seems like it just is getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Like it seems like they also like, I think they like think this is like their identity at this point.
Right. Yeah.
And they just let the golf course go shit. Like last year, the golf course was in absolute horrible condition at the end. And like,
it looked bad on TV too. Remember how bad it looked on TV?
Oh my God. And like, I mean, guys are complaining and like normally I'm like, okay, like you're just being whining. Like they had a point. Like it was borderline unplayable at that point. And like, it's an entertainment product at the end of the day, but like when you gamble on this stuff, like that's not comforting. That's not a very fair playing field that they're playing on. So we'll see what happens this year. I mean, the winds are going to be really crazy. They got to make sure that these greens don't get out of control, especially on Friday and Saturday. So we'll see what happens. Let's talk about around the green. So overall, the conditions, like as far as like, chipping from the fairway or, stuff like that, like just around the green, it's about PGA Tour average. You're not really gaining more strokes or losing more strokes than you would at average venue. But there's some, little intricacies to it. The fairways are actually pretty easy to get up and down from, I think, because you can putt off them. most likely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a guy like a Bryson or a Hovland that they're not really good with a wedge in their hand, but if you can get them putting from off the green, like from a fairway, that's actually okay for them.
Yeah.
So that might be why they've had a little bit of success there. Let's talk about the rough, though. I mean, this is one of the toughest places to try and get up and down from off the rough, from out of the rough around the green. It ranks second in toughest to scramble from the rough on all PGA Tour golf courses. And the thick rough, like even though the ball stops, you get dicey lies. It can be a great lie. It can be a terrible lie. It's basically a luck box at that point. And with how firm and fast some of these greens are, it's really tough to get it close to the pin. You're not getting any spin. It's just kind of like, all right, I'm going to sweep under it and kind of hope and pray at that point.
spray and pray, baby.
Basically, yeah. So that's why it's really tough coming out of the rough. Now, historically, let's talk about the bunkers here. Historically, getting up and down from the bunkers hasn't been all that difficult, but last year, guys are having a lot of trouble. I remember last year, the bunkers, it seemed like guys were getting horrible lies, like plugged lies, fried eggs. Yep. Just really bad. I don't know if they had too much sand in them. I don't know what was going on, but like I remember clearly, Gary Woodland on 17 should have won the tournament. He plugged I think plugged in the bunker. Just a lot of really dodgy lies. Bryson DeChambeau actually in 2021 said that these are the worst bunkers on the PGA Tour, and people roasted him for it, but he kind of has a point. These bunkers were not easy to play from last year. Now maybe they've done something to them, but I remember clearly last year no one was getting up and down for the bunkers. The greens were going to shit, and it just seemed like guys are having trouble with just getting out of it, either with poor lies, not being able to get a lot of spin, a lot of this stuff. And then putting. So Bay Hill features fairly difficult putting conditions from over 15 feet. It's the ninth toughest of all PGA Tour courses with at least 5 tournaments since 2015. When the greens dry out, it's really windy. It's very difficult to lag putt on these greens. So the ability to make nervy comebackers and avoid 3 putts, especially a tournament that's going to feature, a lot of pars, a lot of grinding it out. Can't 3 putt here. You can't give away strokes like that. All right, let's talk about the relative skill set chart. So no surprise, I talked a lot about off the tee as far as you got to be really good here. Most correlated attributes as far as success at Bay Hill is off the tee. High rate of guys who are pretty long, high rate of guys who are accurate. Some have been accurate and not long. Some are really long and not accurate, mostly Bryson. I would say, though, I don't think you can spray it all over this place. Like Bryson DeChambeau won here. I think that's the exception to the norm. You look at some guys like, Scheffler, Molinari's not good. All the European tour guys, they're pretty accurate. You got guys like Chris Kirk, Patton, Billy Horschel, Kirk, Corey Connors even. They've done well here. So basically, I think Abraham Answer also has done well here too. He's hits a lot of fairways, but he gains a lot of strokes because he just hits fairways over and over. So, if it does turn into a tournament though that it's really difficult to hold the fairways and everybody's in from the rough at that point, then you're really going to want distance. But overall though, just target guys who just gain a lot of strokes off the tee. I would just say that. That's your safe play, and that's just going to be most of your premium players at this place. Let's talk about putting too. Usually pretty good putters do pretty well here as well. I just mentioned the fact that it's really difficult to putt from over 15 feet. It's difficult in general to get it close to the pin at this place because you're hitting from the rough a lot. It's hard to spin the ball. These greens are really firm. So usually pretty good putters do fairly well here. And then there's not much of there's a lot of variance between guys who are, good scramblers and bad scramblers. Doesn't mean there's a big correlation to it. I think that's mostly because Bryson's done well here and Hovland had the good year last year. But I think though there are exceptions to the rule. Maybe you can be a bad scrambler and kind of contend here, but you look at some of the guys who have won here the last couple, 5, 6, 7 years. Scheffler, awesome around the green. Hatton's pretty good around the green. Rory McIlroy's are really good around the green. Jason Day has won here. Awesome around the green. Mark Leishman, awesome around the green. Molinari was really good around the green when he won here.
Yeah.
So that seems like that's the difference between winning and losing. So for an outright bet, I'm looking for a guy who's going to be able to get up and down, especially with these weather conditions where I think it's going to be really difficult to hit a green regulation, you're gonna have to get up and down. You're gonna have some deft touch around the green. I'm gonna need a guy that has a short game too. So
it is curious about those bunkers last year.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what happened.
Do we? Can you email like those people that you normally email? Can you see if you can get any info?
I don't know if they're gonna know exactly why. Like guys are.
Let's see if they made any changes to the bunkers.
I can probably look back at last year's term of fact sheet and see if there's any notes about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the approach shot distribution chart. So I usually let's pull back the curtain. I usually only include last year's because usually it's pretty consistent with what the tournament's done. I had to include 2021's as well because last year it actually saw a big shift in the bucket.
Okay.
And I can't explain why. I don't know if it's because the golf course just kind of went to shit last year and maybe it just promoted different approach shots. Maybe the wind was different. I don't really know. But the 2021 one, the one I put in my article, is consistent with basically the last like 5, 6, 7 years.
Okay.
So if you look at that, the difference between the two, last year was a lot higher rate in shots between 150 and 175 than there normally is. There was also a higher rate in shots between 175 and 200. It seems like they took away from shots between 200 and 225. Seems like those got shortened up a little bit.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, about 54% of your shots are going to come between 150 and 225. Yeah. And then another about 18% is going to come from 225 plus. Those are going to be your par fives. So if you just focus with your proximity and scoring ranges from 150 to 225, that's going to cover all your par threes and it's going to cover your most difficult par fours.
Yeah.
And then you're going to basically go for par five scoring at that point, which you don't really need your proximity stats. If you're just, okay, I just want to look at how good you are at par fives. They're all long approach shots. Most of the time you got to get up and down in order to get birdie or something like that. That's going to cover about 70% of your approach shots. You might get a situation where guys might have to go, lay up, and play a par 5 and 3. I mean, you can't really guess at that point. Depends on the wind, depends on where you are. I'm not really going to look at anything under 150. And most of the guys you look at that have won this thing really good with their basically mid to long irons. That just works here. So that's my strategy. Looking from 150 to 225, like a weighted average for me as far as scoring and proximity. And then looking at par 5 scoring because you have to be able to take advantage of them to fare well at this course. That's what I'm going to do. So that's the betting strategy. So you got any questions?
You can't let me bet Keegan this week, man.
Why not?
Because everything you just said points to Keegan in my brain. But he's not winning this event. He's not winning this event. You can let me bet him some other way, but you cannot. You have to throw a rock at my face if I try to bet him outright. Okay? Yeah,
I think you just have to take the approach you took at Riviera and Genesis.
Yeah, and
pick. There is a pool of about 22 really elite golfers, and you got to pick 3 or 4 of them. From. And that's probably it. And honestly, it's probably coming from under 30 to 1. Like you can try and jam in a 40 to 1 guy that drifts, something like that, but like it just seems like, especially if it really is going to be like
windy as fuck,
as difficult as it is, like the best players are probably, I guess there could be an element of luck that comes into it, but at the end of the day, like this
JT plays well. I can't remember. Does JT play good in the wind or not good in the wind?
So I think we revoked his house cat status after after Sawgrass.
That's right. After Sawgrass.
And I think
he was in the bad wave and still played his balls off.
I think he might have it again.
Okay.
He might have reclaimed it.
All right.
So because we've tried doing the JT thing. So at Phoenix, he wasn't relevant until the weather got good. Yeah. And then at Riviera, he was not really a factor when it was windy. He just couldn't really get anything going. So it might be house cat status. I don't remember him even playing Bay Hill either, though.
I don't either. He's another one who's always just kind of showed up at the Players, I feel like.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because all these fucking guys live down here.
I don't know. So, I mean, I don't think Bay Hill is if it wasn't for Arnold Palmer, I don't think guys would really want to go to this place. I mean, like you think about the tournaments these guys have been through the last like 3, 4, 5 years, who would really want to play this thing?
Yeah, it's true.
Especially last year, all the negative criticism that they got at this place. Like, if there wasn't a high money and just respect to Arnie,
Well,
this
that's
thing
the
would
thing that was
probably be
fucked
the
up
Honda
about.
at that point.
That was the thing that was fucked up about the Honda. I mean, Nicholas is there. Like, what the hell, man? Like,
People don't want to
he's alive.
People don't want to plot around and like say like, all right, I got another water like hole here. Like, I don't want to play this thing.
Yeah, trust me, I feel you.
And listen, like, I mean, the Honda legitimately though, like, you had 2 elevated events. It's 2 elevated events. Like, you gotta take a week off. You can't be just Sungjae playing 8 straight weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet this week. I don't know.
All right, so let me ask a question. What's Rom gonna be when he opens up?
7.5, 8, maybe 6.
I think 6.
Yeah.
5 wins in the last 10 events, and honestly, what I just described is
I know.
Got to hit it. You got to hit it really good off the tee, long and straight.
He would
be a really good putter.
He was squirrely with that fucking driver in the wind.
That is true.
He was squirrely, man.
That is true.
He was missing left.
That is true.
He was missing left.
I'd have to look at what he's been doing recently, but just his overall profile, yeah, you're right. But I think, I mean, look, you win at Riviera, you win at Amex, you win at Kapalua.
Yeah.
You almost, you're in the mix at Phoenix.
Yep.
It's
what are you gonna do?
6-1. You're gonna have your smart asses who think they know a lot about golf. Like, I'm just gonna sing a bull at John Rahm. So the books, I think, are gonna have to go like 6-1 just to say, all right, why don't we protect ourselves? Like, what's the downside to a book?
There's no downside to the book.
What's the downside? Yeah. Like, you can put them like 3-1. Like,
people still
at that point. Yeah, who cares at that point? So.
Not me, because I'm an idiot. I won't bet it. But
So, all right, I got nothing else. You got anything else?
Nah, that's it. Who we got on the show this week? We got Joe.
We got Joe Idoni on Tuesday. We got nobody tomorrow. So we'll talk about the weather, as far as how that's shaping up. Look at initial ownership, where we think that's going to be. Our Fisher initial leans as far as like, about generally guys with like in certain tiers. So stay tuned for that. And let's try to have a better week this week.
We got to have a better week this week. There's no try. There's only do. That's what my father used to
say.
Hey,
listen, I'm optimistic. I am taking last week. I'm not going to get frustrated about it. I was right there. I had the handicap. I just picked the wrong guys. That happens in golf.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm feeling okay.
All right. Well, go check out Steve's article where he really breaks it down and goes a little more in depth if you want to, which you should. Go give it the fucking click. Follow me on Twitter at Boston_Capper. And we'll be back for the DFS show tomorrow night, and Joe Idoni on Tuesday for the betting show. And it's the Florida swing, baby. Let's break them fucking books.